This week, my higher up joined my class. If you don't know, I'm a fitness instructor, and my higher up came in and joined my class this week. It freaked me out a little bit. Let's talk about it. So, this week I subbed for one of the other instructors. It was a different class type than what I normally do. My higher up joined my class. It was a sub. I was subbing for somebody else, and it's a different format than I normally teach, but for me, it's really easy to teach. I had taken a choreographed strength training class the day before, and I was so sore. We did some body weight exercises that made me sore, and then also like I was just lifting heavier than I normally do, and I was so sore, and I had to teach on that, and I was like, oops. Because when I was doing, I took 3 classes that day. One was yoga, so it wasn't that bad. And then another one was cardio. It was like a dance. It was work. Is WERQ, like a dance class. It's like a high intensity dance class. So like that's in my comfort zone, so that's not a big deal for me. But the choreographed weights training one, I would have not went so heavy if I had remembered that I was subbing the next day. It wasn't until the afternoon that I was like, oh no. But anyways, so I had nothing prepared because I'm like, this is pretty easy for me to teach. I can just go in, I can teach, just wing it, no big deal. My higher up shows up and I'm like, oh, well, I guess we're doing this. I was like, I hope this goes well. And then there was this one woman in the class who had taught swim for 30 years. So I teach aqua. I don't know if I made that clear. I teach aqua, and so I was subbing an aqua class. I teach out of the water, and the members are in the water because it's easier to teach, and typically my classes are too big. I wasn't really sure what to expect with this one. I probably could have gotten in, but I didn't. It's just easier. It's easier to show what I'm doing if I'm on land as opposed to in the water, because in the water you really can't see what anybody's doing. So it's just easier, physically harder a lot of times to teach on land, however, easier to show. Anyways, so there was a member in there who had taught swim for 30 years. So I found out, I was like, oh my, but she seemed to really enjoy the class, and she was giving me a little bit of sass about excuse me, some of the form and all these things that I was telling. I was like, and she's like, oh, if we don't do that, she can't see us under the water, she can't tell. And I was like, as long as it's not anything against safety, I'm like, you know what, it's just making the workout easier or harder or more effective, blah blah blah, whatever. I'm like, as long as it's not a safety issue, like, I don't care, it's your workout, do whatever you want. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and judge you, I'm just telling you what's best. So then there was another lady in there who had torn her meniscus, and she had just went through surgery, and it was still healing, and it was horrible pain, and there was just a bunch of issues there. And she saw me, and the second she saw me, her eyes got real big, and she freaked out. And I was like, because I recognized her, and she was like, so she was telling me all of this, and she was like, yeah, I've taken your class before, and I don't think I can do blah blah blah. And I was like, oh no, don't worry, I'm gonna teach similar way to what she normally teaches. I'm doing a totally different format. It's not my normal dance class, don't worry. And she's like, oh, okay, like kind of still hesitant and like not, like kind of unsure. And then my higher up showed up, and so we did class, and I was just going with it. I just winged it. But it went really well, actually. Like, I was really proud of myself, actually, because the lady who was so concerned about the workout, at the end, there was just this like huge sigh of relief, and like, oh, you did fantastic, and she was so excited and so happy, and like, I was like, see, I told you it wasn't my normal format, it would be fine, you would be able to do it. I was like, also, I can give you modifications if you need them. She's like, no, I'll do it, but like, because I just wish there weren't so many people like me, because I know my body is not wanting to do this physically like as in like not really, can't really, because like especially with my feet, I have a lot of feet issues starting new workouts. Like once I've started, it's fine, but I have flat feet, so starting the workout, I have a lot of issues, and so I have to make adjustments there at the beginning for the first like few weeks usually, so that my feet don't hurt, and then like once I've done it for a little while, the muscles have adjusted and they're like, oh, we're okay with this now. But like I get really frustrated when I physically cannot do something, and so I like push myself past what I should to do the thing, and it's not good. It's not good. And I'm like, I wish there weren't so many people in my class like me, because it would be helpful if they would just take the modifications, and like this class ended up being totally fine for her. So she didn't need them. But it was just like, don't be like me. Don't be like me. Listen to what I say, not what I do. I didn't say that, of course, but it's just like, oh, I relate so much. But at the same time, I know like so many times it would be more beneficial, because sometimes the modifications for me are actually a little bit harder. And now that I'm getting more and more comfortable, I'm getting more comfortable with where I'm at and like how much I want to push myself, because like I want to challenge myself, but I still want to like what I'm doing. So I don't want to push myself so hard that I hate what I'm doing. So it's just this whole like figuring it out thing. And I'm at a point where I'm like starting to, so I'm kind of starting to like figure out like when I need to take modifications and when I don't. And sometimes the modifications are actually harder and like just more or more, not necessarily harder, but more challenging for my body where I'm at right now. And there's just like so many things that it's like, if we weren't so like, oh, I could do it, I could do everything, my body could do whatever, and instead like, no, here's where I'm at, here's what my body needs, here's what I'm working for, and here's what we're gonna do now. Just operating in that way would be so much more beneficial. So but like I was really proud that she was able to do everything. She had no problems. It didn't hurt her knee or anything like that. And then my higher up, because I was offering modifications, because what I started was with like a lower impact, because I'm like hopefully if I start with a lower one and say, you can add this, especially being in the water, it's a little bit different too. It's lower impact in the water anyways on your joints. It's a lot easier. The workout's not necessarily easier, but the impact on your joints is a lot easier. So I was like, hopefully if I like build on the modifications wherever they start, if they like get comfortable with that and like shouldn't be doing the modifications, maybe they won't do the higher modification. They'll stay at the lower one, or lower intensity, I don't know what to call it, but so I did that and it worked out well. And I don't know if she stayed at the lower intensity modifications the whole time, or if she followed you can add this if you want more resistance or whatever, because water resistance is actually really good. I found that out when I started doing the choreographed weightlifting. I could lift a lot heavier than I realized. I was like, oh, because of the water resistance. So, my higher up, I was so proud, because there were multiple times where I'm like, do this exercise here. And they all kind of did it, but she did it the most. And she was like, oh, because like it was hard, or like, oh, this is hard. And I'm like, yeah, it's really hard in the water. And I'm like, you could slow it down as much as you need to, because on land I start going fast and like forget sometimes. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, please, if you need to slow down, please slow it down, because doing it on land and doing it in water is very different. So there were many times that she either groaned or said it was hard, and some of them said that it was hard or groaned or too a little bit, but she did the most. And I was just like, yes, like if my higher is finding this to be a good workout, then surely everybody else in the class is too, especially when you had like, to my knowledge, she doesn't have any health issues or physical issues or anything like that. And then somebody who had knee surgery, who's in pain and struggling with a lot of things, where both of them could do the class and get a good workout out of it, like, that is such a proud moment, because it's like that is like every fitness instructor's dream. Well, maybe not every, but every good fitness instructor's dream of, like, being able to, like, meet people where they're at and get everybody to have a good workout, because it's really, really, really hard to find that balance. Because when working one-on-one with somebody, super easy. I can modify, I can adjust, and if somebody is struggling with something, I can be like, oh, hey, like, let's do this modification. It's not necessarily easier, but I think it's what your body needs right now. And so working one-on-one with somebody is so different than working in a class setting. When you have many different people with many different needs, you can't possibly meet all of them, but you try to meet as many as you can. And so when you have somebody who has some physical health issues, and somebody who's doesn't, and they're both getting a good, and like everybody from both spectrums and to the middle are all getting a good workout, that is such a proud moment. And like when the one student was like so excited and she said that it was so good, like, it was such a proud moment. And it's like, it's kind of like, I've also had a cancer patient in there before who was struggling to, like, recover from some things, and she was so proud of herself and so excited and, like, loved coming to the class, and, like, had some doctor's appointments that kind of interfered and was, like, disappointed about it. And that's super exciting for me too, because it's like she did so much more than she realized she could. And so, because sometimes we do need that little bit of push, and sometimes we need to be like, no, my body's not actually able to do this right now. I need something a little bit lower intensity, or something shifted just a little bit, because it's not even necessarily lower intensity. Sometimes it's just a different positioning for whatever your body needs. Like, there's just so many different factors. And so reaching that wide of a range of people is just so exciting to me. And I don't know. So this week was it was a little nerve-wracking at first, but then I remembered, I don't know if you watched the vlog a couple weeks ago, you know that she had some feedback for me from some members, and we talked about it, and she said that she might stop into one of my classes and observe to see if she had any feedback for me. She wanted to support me. It wasn't and she, like, intentionally said she didn't want to make me nervous, and I was like, okay. So once I, like, remembered that, I was like, okay, like, I don't need to freak out. I started to a little bit, but then, like, her first groan, I was like, okay, I'm good. Like, like, she's getting a good workout, and, like, and it was, like, still, like, a little bit conscious of, like, everything that was going on and whatnot, especially because I was just completely winging it the whole time. But yeah, it went really well, and I was super proud of myself this week. So that's where we're at this week. Stay tuned, hit subscribe to find out where I'm at next week. And as always, I believe in you, I love you, dream big, and take action. Bye! Anybody else struggle this much with words? Because holy moly!